Okay, so we're going to talk about Hazel's collars and her training. So the remote collar helps us stay consistent with Hazel when she's not on a leash. We can correct the behaviors we don't like and also reward the behaviors we do like. So first thing you're going to do in the morning is turn on Hazel's remote collar. So we're going to grab her collar and we're going to see right here there's a little red dot. That is the key to turn the collar on and off. If we grab her remote, the matching key is on the side right there. It's a little red dot. So if you're looking at the collar where you see the remote where you see the antenna, that's where the little red dot is. So we are going to turn the collar on. You're going to see a green light flash. So you touch them together and a green light is flashing. That means it's on and charged, good to go. So we're going to set that aside. You just have to tap them together. Next, we're going to turn the remote on. So on the back here, we have the on-off button, the big button in the middle. We're going to push and hold that button until the screen lights up. So I'm going to push and hold it. Once the screen lights up blue, I can take my thumb off of the button. So her level is 20 out of 100 right now, given her excited levels. Her basically, that's what she needs to stop the behavior but not cause pain or discomfort. This level can fluctuate as she gets older, more mature, and less distracted. When dogs are distracted, their tolerance for discomfort goes up. So right now she's at a good level 20. That's about average. So we are going to focus on the black S button. Now there's two black buttons. There's a T and there's an S. You're going to focus on the black S button. S stands for stimulation. So the collar's on, the remote's on. If Hazel does something incorrect, let's say you're practicing commands and you put her on place and she tries to get off the place bed before you've told her free, we're going to say no and push the black S button. So you'll see my thumb twitch here in a second. I'll say no and my thumb twitches very slightly. It is an electric muscle stimulator, so it sends a little electronic buzz. It's not shocking, it's not a taser or anything, but it's a little TENS unit and it makes her neck flex a little bit. So you're going to say no, give the correction, and then repeat the command so that you set her up for success. We want to set Hazel up for success. We want her to do the right thing, and to do that, we have the consequence so that she knows if she doesn't do the right thing, there will be a correction, right? So when she does the right thing, we want to praise her and reward her with either treats, praise, or petting. Those are your three options. For the first couple weeks that she's home, I recommend using a lot of treats. That way she transfers the training a little bit easier from person to person rather than just, oh, I have to listen and it's not as fun. So use a lot of food, use a lot of praise when you're working with her in the beginning to give her, to set her up for more success with transferring the leadership over to everybody in the family. So that is the black S button. So let's say you're on a walk and you have to have her on a leash for whatever reason. If she starts to walk ahead of you, she walks on the left hand side, so she should be right around here. Her head should line up with your leg. Her head neck area should line up with your leg and a heel. You'll tell her heel. If she starts to drift forward or drift to the side or want to smell, you'll say no. Push the black S button and give a tiny tug of the leash to help her back where she needs to be. If you ask her to sit and she doesn't, you'll say no, push the button, tell her sit, and repeat for all of the commands. Down, come, place, all of those. So if she does the command, great. We're going to reward, praise, pet. We're going to give her some sort of good job, whether it's food or petting. And then if she doesn't do it correctly, we're going to give her the remote collar stimulation. We are going to move on from the black S button to the red S button. This is the boost feature. I have not needed this feature yet for Hazel, but you have it in case you need it. So once you get to the point where you've practiced enough and you trust that she'll come back to you and you start working off leash, you might be in an area where there's distractions, squirrels, bunnies, birds, whatever the case is. If she gets distracted and takes off after one of those distractions, what you can do is call her. If she doesn't listen, black S button, the 20. If that doesn't work because her tolerance for discomfort goes up with distraction, she's highly distracted, the red S button will become a boost. So if you push it, you'll see that it goes up to 45. I have it set to increase by 25, so that's why you see it go up to 45. So you'll push that as many times as you need to get her back to you. Again, haven't needed it, but you might in the future, so you have it just in case. It's red, so I like to say it's for emergencies only. So those are the two correction buttons. This button over here is the T. It's for vibrate. You can use this in the future for warnings when she's doing really well, but she messed up a little bit. Hey, no. Remember what you're supposed to do. The key is to stay consistent. It takes a dog 2 to 3 weeks to learn a behavior and 4 to 6 months for that behavior to become long-term memory. So for the next 2 weeks that she's home, she's going to be learning what you're going to put up with, what you're going to tolerate. So you want to keep the rules very clear and very strict. And then she's going to naturally follow them because she knows what's expected of her. So next, the back of the button here, or the back of the remote, the on-off button can also substitute as a flashlight for Hazel. So if you tap it instead of pushing and holding it, she'll flash like a flashlight. Tap it again, solid flashlight. This is if you're having her out at night or you're taking her on a walk at night. You can see her, people can see you. Tap it again to shut it off. So if you go to push and hold this button and don't hold it long enough, you'll activate the flashlight. Just an FYI. This little button is the M/C. That stands for momentary or continuous. Basically meaning when you push any of the S buttons, the black or the red, it's just going to give a momentary stimulation because it's set on letter M. If you happen to push and hold that button and change it to letter C, just push and hold this little M/C button until you see just the letter M. That way both buttons are just momentary. She does not need continuous right now at her stage of training, and I don't think she will in the future. Next is the dial. So I have it locked to where if you adjust the dial, it's not going to adjust the level. It's locked. To unlock it, we are going to push and hold it. The screen will, the 1D will start flashing, and we can either turn the level way down or we can turn the level way up. So the reason I lock it is so that we don't accidentally unlock it and turn it way up or way down. So I turn it back to 20, and then I'm going to push and hold it down until the 1D at the top is solid. Now I know it's set where I need it and we're not going anywhere. This is rechargeable. The charging port is on the back. It'll last a couple days on a charge if you shut it off at night. The charging port is underneath her collar here. So when you put the collar on first thing in the morning, make sure the green light's flashing and that it's on. And I like to put it anywhere underneath in her pockets. So on each side of her neck, she has these little pockets like we do. You want to put it in there. It's a little bit more comfortable for her. Also, you want to make sure it's snug, allowing only 2 fingers to fit in between Hazel and the collar. That way, the contacts make good connection with her skin. She can wear this 10 to 12 hours a day. Take it off at night. I recommend the more she wears it, the more she has it on, the less likely she's to become collar savvy. Collar savvy means she'll only listen with this collar on. So don't use this remote as, hey, don't do it or I'm going to stimulate you. Try and hide it and keep it subtle. That way she'll know she has to listen to you whether she sees this or not. And that's where you can start fading out the collar in the future. But that's way down the line. 10 to 12 hours a day, it's rechargeable. It is waterproof, but if she goes wet, gets swimming, you have to take the collar off and let her hair and her skin dry thoroughly before you put it back on, because if moisture builds in under the collar, she can get a skin infection or a hot spot. Next, we're going to talk about the prong collar. So I'm right-handed, so I lift up at an angle and then my left hand pushes down and you hear that little snap. When I put the collar on, I put one in, squeeze, and I put the other one in. So it's snap, pop, put one in, squeeze, put the other one in. She's gonna walk with this. It's just to help reinforce where she needs to be. And the first couple of days she's at home, I recommend having maybe a leash on her in the house. That way you can guide her to place. You can make her sit at the door and you can help guide her while she's still learning the ropes in the house. She's still transferring that information that she has to the new home, or to her old home, but it's gonna be new for training. So it is just a pop and release. You don't want to keep tension on the leash. You just want to pop and release when needed, but use the collar remote primarily. Set this off to the side. So this does come with a charger. It also comes with extenders. She doesn't have long hair, so you don't need that. And this little black tool here, it will tighten the little prongs on her remote collar to ensure they're tight and that no water can get in. If you're gonna take her swimming, I would just double check that those things are tight. That way you don't ruin the electronics on accident. This is the manual to go over all the buttons in greater detail in case you need to, but for the most part, we talked about all the functions that you will need. This has a 2-year full warranty, so what you need to do is go register this collar, and you will email the email on the side of the box, sales@ecollar.com, and they will get you all set up for what you need to have it registered. That way, if anything breaks in the next 2 years, you can get a new one, no questions asked. So now we are going to show you all of Hazel's commands. Heel. Good heel. Good girl. Heel. No. Heel. Good girl. Heel. Oh, good girl. No. Sit. No. Sit. No. Sit. 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 Good sit. Down. Good girl. Down. Good girl. Down. Good girl. Down. Free. Good girl. Okay, other foot. Thank you. Good. Good. Good job. Good job. Place. Good. Place. Good girl. Place. Place. Job. Place. Place. Good. Good girl. Place. Free. Good job. Free.